Hello there. You have your ticket? You don't have one? No problem, my friend. Just hit the subscription button below. Come on in. Hello, everyone. DFG here, Gideon's Flight. Hey, guys. A couple of things happened this week in regards to behavior that I felt was inappropriate, and I want to bring this to the attention of all of us and everyone who genuinely cares again about the health and wellness of our children. Okay, and I'm going to talk here, and I'm going to do this in a manner where that I speak from the heart as Yahweh places in my heart or my mind, and I want to show the utmost respect in terms of this conversation. And I hope that you would just give me a couple of minutes and just, hear it out. Whether you're heterosexual or homosexual, I think this is important. First, let me start off with, just recently it was announced that the Boy Scouts have accused 7,000 Boy Scout leaders. 7,000. And this goes back until the 1940s to present. So it didn't happen, it's not just 1 year. But it was 2 states that were involved, New Jersey, New York. Well, over 12,000 kids were sexually abused by scout masters or scout leaders. And this is a huge concern. As a matter of fact, next week they're going to announce who some of these individuals are. And you know me, every now and then, I'll pull out my old, phone to try to share some information, just to kind of, bring it out, make it real so that you can see it. And I want you to see this so that you understand where I'm getting this information from. As you see, ABC News, more than 12,000 Boy Scout members were victims of sexual abuse, experts say. Okay? And then, in addition to that, thousands of former Boy Scout leaders face child sex allegations and names expected to be released on Tuesday. Now, this article is on the 23rd of April. So the day I think is the 26th. So this coming Tuesday, you're going to hear about these individuals. And again, this is important information because how many of us, I don't know, I had no idea. If my sons had asked me to be Boy Scouts, I would have readily sent them out to be Boy Scouts because we were always told that it taught young boys, about all kind of values and hard work and teamwork, and it taught them morals, and taught them how to be preparing them for manhood. Well, lo and behold, as we see now, as with the Catholic Church and many, many other organizations, that has not always been the case. And 7,000, people involved means if 7,000 are accused, that means probably tens of thousands were aware that these 7,000 individuals were doing this. And that's equally concerning. So it almost becomes a culture of child sexual abuse, pedophiles. And again, I bring this to your attention because, some of this stuff may be going on even right now today. I mean, we don't want to believe that, but every time we turn our heads, here it comes again. And not only that, but, we still have these individuals who think that it's appropriate to go into the schools and teach children about embracing this lifestyle. I'm not saying they're telling a child to be a homosexual, but they're telling the child that they're placing a lot of emphasis on normalizing it to the same degree of heterosexual behavior. And it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. And I'm not talking about can adults make whatever decision they want to make. As an adult, you can do whatever you want to do. My feeling about you want to sleep with your dog, sleep with your dog. But it has nothing to do with me. You follow me? It's your dog. I feel bad for the dog, maybe. But when it comes down to the children, we all have a responsibility to the children. I don't have to be a child's parent to be concerned about the welfare of children. And so we should, if these things that we already finding out are happening with the church, You know what I'm saying? Happening with different organizations, including the Boy Scouts now. If we know these things are happening, shouldn't that, set off an alarm with us to say, look, we can no longer take a soft approach to this? We really need to be teaching our children to be aware of individuals or sexual predators who may come in the form of same sex, talking about something that's okay, that's not okay. And if we really, really genuinely care about, our children learning at a young age acceptance, then why aren't we teaching these children at a young age about racial discrimination? And I'm not talking about some bullshit that goes on Black History Month, like whatever the hell that means. You follow me? We should be teaching, if we really care about that, we should be teaching our children at a very early age that racial discrimination and racial bias is hateful and intolerable and is unacceptable behavior. We should be talking about xenophobia. That is hatred. And that is unacceptable behavior. But also harassing one another. Boys harassing girls, sexual harassment. What that is and what that means and what they shouldn't be doing. And bias, gender bias. If we're going to teach something, that's what our focus needs to be, because that's where our big problems exist. Less than 3% of the population fall into the LGBTQ community. Less than 3%. In a recent survey, 80% of Americans had no problem with that 3%. 80% say we have no problem with individuals who choose that particular lifestyle. Well, if 80% have already signed off on they have no problem with it in terms of accepting it, why are we in the schools teaching it? When we know racism and ethnic bias, and harassment is off the charts. It seems that we have our priorities out of order. As Yahweh said, or Yeshua, he says that we strain on a gnat and we swallow a camel. And I love Yahweh. I'm a Hebrew. I've said it to you many, many times. And every true Hebrew loves Yahweh. And I have no choice but to spare not, to lift up my voice like a trumpet and speak against these things, especially when it comes against our children. Why? Because I'm instructed to train up a child. You're instructed to train up a child in the way that it should go. And when it's old, it won't depart. That's an assignment you have as an adult. And it's most certainly an assignment you have if you're an adult parent. We're responsible for that. And so when you start looking at, how are we training them up? Shouldn't we be talking about things that truly matter? I mean, these bombings of these churches and burning of these churches, these shootings in these churches, all that stuff is centered around hatred. You heard me say it already, xenophobia. Those are real big issues. We should be teaching our children, look, you don't have a right to hate somebody because he's a Christian or he's a Muslim or he's a Buddhist or he's a Hinduist or he's an atheist. You have no right to hate him because he's a Pentecostal, a Methodist, Presbyterian, Baptist, Protestant, whatever you want to say. That's what we should be telling them, and not going around but saying, oh no, we can't talk about that. We can't talk about religion. We can't talk about religion, right? But we can talk about, sexual orientation. I mean, I'm a mature adult male. That's confusing to me. I can't talk about religion, but I can talk about sexual orientation. And somehow that implies I have my priorities right? No, that's confusion is what you're doing. And when we tolerate that and we allow that, that's confusion. Again, if you're an adult and that's your lifestyle, or if you feel like you didn't have a choice in it and you were born that way, again, the argument for that is long gone. We're beyond that now. 80% have said, okay, we get you. We get it. But there's another group of us out there saying, now leave our children out of this. Take your hands off of our children. Take your mouth off of our children. And I'm not talking about in a sexual way. I'm talking about speaking this stuff into their lives. Normalizing things that, quite frankly, does not fit in that, what I would say, the best interest of long-time human continuously on the planet. Sex has pleasure attached to it, but sex also has creation, attached to that. Creation first, enjoyment second. And anything that's not reproducing of itself is dead. You've heard me say that before. Now, I know some of you guys, you already probably got your hate antennas on. Now, and you're hating me, and I don't even hate you. You hate me because I speak the truth. Not all of you, I understand that. But there's a group, I guarantee you, are just hating on me right now. I'm narrow-minded. I'm a bigot. It's sheer, first of all, that's going to roll off my back like, shit going through a goose. That is not going to bother me. Because I am convinced that we don't need to be pushing this lifestyle onto our children. 100% convinced of that fact. And not only that, as I said earlier, as a copper-colored Hebrew, Native American, as you call us, some African American, the rest of that stuff, real Hebrews, we have a responsibility to bring forth the light. Now, you can walk in darkness all you want, but that doesn't mean that you're going to solace us because you decide to walk in darkness. Now, I'm going to close this message. I'm going to share something with you. And I'm going to share two things. One from the American Psychiatric Association, what their assessment of homosexuality is, or was, not is, used to be, up until the early 70s. And then I'm going to share you something that the New York Times wrote, an article addressing homosexuality and their compassion that the New York Times, progressive New York, cosmopolitan New York, wrote this article. Now check this out. You ready? I'm almost done. Even in purely non-religious terms, homosexuality represents a misuse of the sexual faculty and, in other words, of one educator, of human construction. It is a pathetic little second-rate substitute for reality, a pitiful flight from life. As such, it deserves fairness, it deserves compassion, in even understanding where possible treatment can be applied. But it deserves no encouragement, no glamorization, no rationalization, no fake status of minority martyrdom. That's the New York Times. And then, again in 1972, the American Psychiatric Association treated homosexuality as a disorder deserving of psychiatric treatment. So when you jump out there and want to say we're using the Bible and we're using religion, well, this was non-religion. Okay, that had nothing to do with religion. Those were medical assessment and opinions of journalists who at that particular time seemed to have a lot of confidence that was okay to say that. Again, as adults, I don't think anybody has the right to tell an adult what to do. All you can do is share information. They have to make their own decisions. But children, I'm going to say again, hands off of the children. I'm going to close this video. And I'm going to quote something, 3 different things from Yahweh, written in the scripture. First, Hosea, Yahweh's people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. From the scriptures, Proverbs 14, 12, 16, 25 says it twice in Proverbs. In the 14th chapter and 16th chapter, there's a way that seemeth right to a man, but the end thereof is the ways of death. Saying that there's going to be things that you're going to think is perfectly okay, and they're detrimental to mankind. And then last, it says, and this is Matthew 7 and 13, and it talks about broad is the path and wide is the way that leadeth to destruction. And many people are going to go in that way. So all I'm saying to you is think critically, think long term, think societies to come, and then make a decision. And if nothing else, again, leave the children alone. Thank you for listening. DFG, Gideon's Flight. Woo! Probably made an enemy or two here. Love you guys. Bye.